This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Introduction. Nuclear power in description is a contained nuclear fission that generates electricity and heat. Nuclear power plants provide about 6% of the world's energy and 14% of electricity. Nuclear energy is neither green nor sustainable energy because of the life-threatening aspect of its wastes and the nuclear plants themselves. Another reason is that its only source of raw material is only available on Earth. On the other hand, nuclear energy is non-renewable energy because of the scarcity of its source fuel, uranium, which has an estimation of about 30 to 60 years before it becomes extinct. Nuclear power pros. Nuclear power has quite many pros associated with its use. The first pro of nuclear energy is that it emits little pollution to the environment. A power plant that uses coal emits more radiation than a nuclear-powered plant. Another pro of nuclear energy is that it is reliable. Because nuclear plants use little fuel, their vulnerability to natural disasters or strikes is limited. The next pro is the safety that nuclear energy provides. Safety is both a pro and a con, depending on what point of view one takes. Nevertheless, even though results from a reactor can be disastrous, prevention mechanisms for it works perfectly well with it. Another pro that is associated with nuclear energy is efficiency. In considering the different economic viewpoints, nuclear energy offers the best solution in energy provision and is more advantageous. In addition, we have portability as the next pro of nuclear energy. A high amount of nuclear energy can be contained in a very small amount of volume. Lastly, the technology that nuclear energy adopts is readily available and does not require development before use. Nuclear power cons. On the other hand, nuclear energy has several cons that are associated with its usage. First is the problem of radioactive waste, whereby nuclear energy waste from it is extremely dangerous and needs careful lookup. The other con of nuclear energy is its waste storage. A good number of wastes from nuclear energy are radioactive even thousands of years later, since they contain both radioactive and fissionable materials. These materials are removable through a process called reprocessing, which is through clearing all the fissionable materials in the nuclear fuel. The next con of nuclear energy is the occurrence of a meltdown. A meltdown can be the worst-case scenario that can ever occur in a nuclear energy plant because its effects are deadly. The effects of a meltdown are very huge, with the estimation that radioactive contamination can cover a distance of over 1,000 miles in radius. The final downturn associated with nuclear energy is radiation. Radiation mostly is associated with effects such as cancer, mutation, and radiation sickness. Impacts of nuclear energy on the society. Social. Society is an association that has people of diverse ideologies and faiths regarding the production and consumption of energy and economic goods for the good life and a good society. Nuclear energy should serve social justice and quality of life rather than being looked upon as an end in it. Ethical. The existence of technology is purposely for serving human needs. It can destroy people and human values, deliberately or with unintended consequences. Because of this, the technological processes are guided by values that require constant public scrutiny and discussion. Political. Nuclear energy has implications from the political viewpoint in that a country might wish to take advantage of its nuclear weapons to gain control of others. This will deprive others of their democratic rights to coexist within their territory without interference from intruders. Legal impacts. In terms of the legal impacts of nuclear energy, some regulations give rights to who or which organizations have the authority to own nuclear facilities. The legal implications also target what specific standards are set out for adequate protection and what risks are not acceptable. Summary. From the above discussion, in comparing the pros and cons of nuclear energy, one can conclude that as much as nuclear energy has severe effects on people and the environment, it also has varied benefits. In my viewpoint, I presume to counter with the cons rather than the pros. It is evident what a devastating effect nuclear energy has on the environment, and as much as it benefits the environment through low pollution, in case of an accident and there is a meltdown, the whole environment will be wiped out. From a moral standpoint, I believe that the lives of people are more important than energy sources. Inasmuch as we would wish to have the most reliable energy source, our lives is the most important than any other thing. Conclusion. In conclusion, it is evident from the mentioned pros and cons that nuclear energy is not the all-time solution to any problem. One can argue that to the extreme it is much of a problem source than a solution. To get a good life, withstanding the ethical and moral issues, we should always strive for sustaining our lives in the best way possible. Nevertheless, many of the social and ethical issues associated with emerging nuclear power require determinate, immediate, distinct, and significant actions. Did you like this pros and cons of nuclear power sample? To get more works like this one, make sure to check out the database of academic paper examples at ivpanda.com. You will find thousands of samples for all your study needs.